Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian here at the Halifax International Security Forum in Nova Scotia, Canada, one of the world's truly great security conferences. Our coverage here is sponsored by Boeing and Leonardo DRS, and it's my pleasure to be talking to David Young, the Chief Executive Officer of Oxford Analytica, one of the world's oldest risk assessment firms, founded in 1975 by your dad. When he went to the United Kingdom. David, talk to us a little bit about how the entire game is changing. You know, we have a revolution in data now. You guys were sort of ahead of the power curve in sort of looking at risk and opportunity from a worldwide basis. Let's talk a little bit about how technology is changing the game fundamentally. Everybody's eyes are on artificial intelligence, on big data, on machine learning, quantum computing, and how that changes the game. How is all of that changing the game for you guys?
Yeah, we spoke about it a little bit earlier in terms of the tremendous progress that we're seeing in big data, AI, quantum learning, machine learning, as you mentioned. I think from our perspective, it reinforces the need and value of experts and qualitative analysis that almost provides a wrapper around the quantitative data and analysis. So I really think, long story short, it's not either or. I think advances are tremendous, but it very much is both and. And as we're seeing those technological advances, from our perspective, it's reinforcing the need for there to be qualitative analysis to provide kind of deeper wisdom and knowledge about the drivers and restrainers. One of the before this, one of the sayings you had was it's kind of garbage in, garbage out, and we really need to make sure that as these technological advances move forward, we've got the expertise that can really provide unique judgments around what is going into some of these AI programs and what is coming out, and are we really deciphering the unique insights that come out. And I think important as well is to realize how actionable are those insights that come out. How do public and private organizations and decision makers make accurate decisions, not just on an 8.8 out of 10. They actually understand the drivers and restrainers and the constituent elements that comprise that 8.8 risk level out of 10.
How are, because you know, if you're in the game, you're also a student of decision making. How are your customers, whether on the government side or on the commercial side, changing how they make decisions in light of technology change? And I ask this in part because I moderated 2 panels of the NATO Industry Forum. It was a Chatham House event. I was invited by NATO to do that. And the whole focus was on assisted decision making and how the whole model and game changes. How are you seeing how your customers change how they're making decisions?
Yeah, I think we're waking up to a new world in a way that if you go back 20, 30, 40 years, decision making, I'm not going to say it was easier back then, but it was less dimensional, meaning I think today, you know, whether it's Brexit or elections, there's greater uncertainty. The forecasts and predictions may be not as accurate as they used to be, and we live in times that are certainly not as certain. So when we're advising public and private organizations, we're helping them take into account the multiple dimensions on how political, economic, social activities can play out over time. When we speak with decision makers, it's really helping them understand not just the context and the lay of the land as to how certain events or trends will play out. It's then also helping them as organizational leaders build more agile organizations. If there's greater uncertainty, they need to have the flexibility and proactivity to adjust as quickly as possible, and really take risks and turn them into opportunities. I'm a big fan of saying that there are 2 sides of the coin. One side is managing and mitigating risks, and at the same time, on the other side of the coin, it's, okay, if we're managing and mitigating risks, how can we seize new opportunities?
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, is are folks finding as much opportunity in some of these risky situations, or are they going full ostrich and just sort of burying their head in the sand, right? I mean, there are all sorts of ways of looking at this. Even if it's a very crappy situation, there will still be winners, for example, in a Brexit context, even if there may be other national challenges that surround that. How are folks looking and identifying opportunity in these rather tectonic risky situations.
It really is case by case. When you look at the private sector, there are some very large organizations out there that are very slow to move. And the slower you are to move, the less capabilities, the less ability you have to take advantage of new opportunities. I think your comment around the ostrich is very true in a lot of situations where people don't want to have a dialogue and don't want to wake up and realize that in a weird way we are living in a new world order, and for private sector organizations to continue to grow and to continue to have sustainable performance, especially at that kind of profit level, they've got to get their head out the sand and say, look, we need to take into account the political, economic, social dimensions worldwide, and we need to take that context and actually look internally within our organization. Long story short, very much is case by case. I think public organizations and government institutions are far worse at that. I also think one of the concerning things, there are tremendous conferences such as Halifax, but my challenge to Halifax and to other organizations or events and conferences is we can have these amazing conversations and discuss key issues happening around the world. But then my question is, okay, so what? What are we actually going to do about it? How are we going to take the dialogue and the lessons and the insights we learn, and how are we actually going to execute them and implement them at the government level, as well as within the private sector?
Let me ask one last question, and that's about the competitive dynamic and the advantage you have. Very fast-moving world. There's a lot of technology capability. There are more companies that are getting into this space and say, hey, we're better at leveraging data. We're much better at slicing and dicing. And look at us, we've got all sorts of AI algorithms, whether it's on the Amazon or the Google side. Now these increasing decision-making tools, IBM, for example, right? Their whole Watson service, which is going into stuff. And you've got a whole bunch of other non-traditional players getting into this by saying, hey, we're really good at slicing and dicing data. In this kind of a world, how does a family-owned, even if you guys were pioneers on this, right? There's no, I don't think there's any sort of bronze plaque that says, oh, these guys are the ones who are going to keep doing this. How do you guys compete and maintain advantage in a space like this? Because I know you also have a global network of analysts and advisors who work with you that you can on call get them to do stuff. But how do you compete in this very dynamic, very changing world?
Yeah, so you're right at the beginning. 1975 were founded. Dad left the White House, moved to Oxford, and created a company really based around what still exists today, which is the Presidential Daily Brief. And that is what we do each and every day, producing 10 to 15,000 words of analysis. It's not telling our clients what's happening. It's actually telling our clients, given what's happening, this is what it means to them. And the delivery of that is, and we're always challenging how we're delivering and the mediums through which we are delivering and how we're writing that analysis, but actionability is key. If they're going to read 100 words or 5,000 words, they've got to be able to action it. I think you're exactly right. For Oxford Analytica, we operate in an industry, in a market segment where there really are no barriers to entry. Anyone can establish an advisory firm or a consulting firm. I think over the last 45 years, we have built, we're not defined, I think, by one element. It's the confluence, the combination of three differentiating value additions that we provide. One is expertise, the second is methodologies, and the third is the relationships that we have with our clients. So you mentioned on the expertise side, we have a network of 1,500 experts around the world. That gives us the horizontal breadth to cover every country, as well as the vertical depth to go into every industry, issue, or theme. It is not a static global expert network. It is always expanding and contracting depending on what's happening in the world and what our clients care about. But we really truly can say we've got the world experts as part of that 1,500. So that gives us incredible power and capabilities to analyze actually what matters and how events and trends and issues are going to play out over time. The second part is methodologies. Over the 45 years, we've built incredibly powerful and analytically and intellectually robust proprietary methodologies that enable us to take all the noise and the craziness that's happening around the world and pull out distinct signals for each of our clients, so they can actually understand, how something is going to manifest itself over time and what it means to their strategies, investments, operations, and policies. And then, just finally on the relationship side, 45 years, many clients have been, clients for decades. They've become good friends, and we have this willingness and flexibility to try and look at the world through their eyes. Every client, we believe, is different. Every client has different objectives and different goals and different strategies. So we have the ability, by leveraging our global expert network, applying our robust methodologies and working hand in hand with our clients to really provide unique solutions and insights.
And so, as one of the smartest people in the UK in doing this, how the hell is Brexit going to work out?
Good question.
I'm sorry. It just hopped in my mind. It's like, I wonder how you guys are calling this.
Yeah, I mean, well, Brexit is exactly, it goes back to this point I was making earlier. If at every stage of Brexit, right, it's been unpredictable. So it's almost not a matter of how's it going to play out. It's how do we enable our clients to manage and mitigate the risks and take advantage of the opportunities. And in times of uncertainty where you're not sure how something's going to play out, it's building that adaptability, that agility and proactivity into the mindset, the DNA and the operations of our clients. So they have this ability to adjust very rapidly depending on how Brexit or different elections around the world or trade sanctions or Trump's mindset is going to play out. And I think organizational agility will increasingly distinguish kind of the losers from the winners. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give you a specific answer on Brexit. We'll see what happens with. It's interesting. There was an interview last night with Boris and Corbyn. Corbyn taking this neutral stance now, and the role of the Liberal Democrats will be, are they going to be the kingmaker, right? In a coalition, are they going to have the ability to decide who will be Prime Minister? And increasingly, from the analysis in the last 24, 48 hours, that's looking like it will be. But how exactly Brexit plays out is really hard. I will say it's going to be years to really fully understand and grapple with the consequences that the last couple of years have created. And again, we talk about new world orders. There's going to be a new world order in some way, shape or form in Europe. So kind of watch this space in terms of how it's going to play out. But yeah, the obvious next step is the general election. So we're following that closely.
I think it's going to be fascinating, and the unfortunate thing about all of this is that it is taken up all of the UK bandwidth, right? A nation that was so prominent worldwide in virtually anywhere you go and anything you did, and almost everybody is focused or largely on Brexit. David Young, Chief Executive of Oxford Analytica, absolute pleasure. Thanks very much. Best of luck to you and the family, and hopefully next time I'm in the UK we get a chance to get together.
Welcome anytime.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.